If you purchase a frameless shower and you want to get that hold between the door and the actual shower, can't do it. This is a hack that I did. Theoretically speaking, I had to get a magnet that could be strong enough to be able to hold between the top of the bar of the frameless part of the shower and the glass to ensure that when it closes, it holds it and makes it sit there. There's nothing stronger that I was able to find other than the kitchen knives and utensils holder. It's pretty much this magnet strip that's like this big, you put, and you just stick your scissors, your knives, and it just hangs everything on there. That magnet is so strong, it supports about 60 pounds, and I said this is the one I'm gonna try and get. And it matched the look of the frameless shower because it's stainless steel, so I had to put it pretty much using a double adhesive tape. I used the Gorilla Tape, and I'm gonna go through all the materials as well to put on the back side of the frame of the shower. And then I also put the metal piece, attach it, use double-sided tape on the glass to ensure that it also holds on that side, because it needs a magnet to magnet interaction for it to work. Metal to magnet, actually. The part that's on the actual door was the metal piece, and then the actual magnet was staying on top of the frame, which doesn't move. And I chose that because I didn't want the weight of the magnet to stay on the door. Remember, it's still a glass door, and you don't want to make sure it's like not shattering and it's not holding much more weight than it was actually designed for. But the frame already has that strong support, so there should be no problem in that aspect. I didn't drill any holes throughout the glass because glass goes through a special process in order for it to be drilled through. I didn't want to risk it, and I didn't have time for that. There's a mixture of water, heat that you got to utilize in order for you to get that. But on the double-sided tape, if you do make a mistake and aren't able to actually have it stuck there, you do need a heat gun so that way you can create that heat interaction to loosen up the glue to help you get rid of it. As soon as you install it, you still got a little bit of time, but if you install it and it's been sitting there for a couple of days, that glue really stuck and it got stronger over time. You want to ensure you have one that is supporting more weight and not one that just supports a couple of pounds. Now we're going to dive into the video so I can really show you how I went from point A to point Z to make sure that this worked and make it look seamless as possible, as if it was integrated with the actual shower. I bought these strips, replacement strips, right here, but the problem is it wasn't holding, right? There's magnets on this side, and there's magnets on this side. So if you ever come across this issue, this is how I came about solving for this, right? The magnets are not strong enough to actually pull the shower back at all. So, me getting creative, you know the knife magnets? So these are the knife magnets. Pretty much you mount this to the wall. It's this silver part here, right? You can see it's hard to come up. I gotta use 2 hands to do this. It's so strong. Like, there you go. This is supposed to mount to the wall, and then this right here you put on top of it, and it comes on top, and then you can put your knives. Let me just use the scissors so I can show y'all what I mean. So I got a scissors, bam, right? You see how it holds? Easy, and so strong. Like, it's just a strong magnet. It's big. So that's that. But I don't need it for that. I need it to hold the shower. So this is my trick. What I did was, on top, as you could see, so it could still have that finished look, I put the front part here on this edge on top of this. So when you're looking at this from afar, it looked like it's just like a natural part of the shower, right? It's really not. From far away, can't really tell what that is. This looks natural with the shower. So that part went on this part. This was already silver, same color, stainless steel. And then the flap, which is supposed to be mounted to the wall, went here. So that's what it is. Now, I didn't want to risk drilling through the glass because this is a special process, special drill bit you got to use to drill through glass. I didn't have time for that, and I didn't want to risk it. So I used double-sided adhesive tape, 15-pound weights from Gorilla Tape. I put it on one side first. and then I found the right alignment. Then I stuck it to there. So mistakes I made. Let me explain. At first, I put this in, and there wasn't enough gap. As you can see, there's like little gaps here. So I used 5 strips of Gorilla to create this gap because the shower is not perfectly lined up. As you can see, it's not like, if you see on this edge here, it's not perfectly lined up. Even the middle area here is not like perfectly lined up. It's slightly. And they did this years ago, contractor and his crew. So I'm sure there's a reason why it wasn't perfectly lined up. But that's that. There ain't no way of changing that now. So because of that, the spacing, when the door hits this, it's not going to be perfectly in place. So in order to compensate for that, we made more gaps here. This is a bigger gap than what's here. As you can see, I only used 2 strips of adhesive here on this side. I use 5 on this side. So it creates that slant that needs to match with what the door is doing as well. So if you ever get into this is what you got to do. This is 60-pound Gorilla Glue. It's a little stronger, a lot stronger. I messed this up the first time and I had to use my heat gun. And if you want to know which heat gun I have, is this right here, C1. But you got to make sure you're not close to the glass. You don't want to heat up the glass because it can shatter. So you got to keep it around the metal piece and then heat it up slowly and try to pull it until you could easily pull it out. It's going to be a little messy. At first, it's not going to be an easy strip, but once you do get it out, you might have to take behind this remaining over, and what you got to use is the scraper, this right here, to peel it off, and eventually it's going to come off. Because it's going to be hot. We use the heat gun, it's still going to be warm. The glue is going to be loosened, so it's going to be easier to come off with that. So I made the mistake the first time, the second time I got it right. So I put 5 strips, and to figure out your gap too, because it's a double-sided tape, before you take off the other side, you could layer all 5 strips on here with the cover first on this part, right? Before you put the magnet on. And then you could like hold the magnet in place and pull the door to make sure it closes. That was the way I was supposed to do it, and I learned the hard way. But once you get that going, figure out the right gap, now you slap it on here. And I had to drop this. This is not perfectly even at the top, so this angle, as you can see, right, it's almost at the top, but it's not exactly at the top. The reason is because I needed this to be lower, because there's as you can see, the shower gap is a lot, right? So we need the magnet to be low enough and the silver part to also hit it at a decent point. So at least it covers 1/3 of the magnet so it can really hold. That was the next part. So got the position for this. Next we have to figure out where does this go. So to put this on, we stuck it to this piece first, right? I stuck it to this first, but it kept on going up because it's trying to get to the center. The magnet is just naturally trying to get to the center. So in order to compensate for that, the little trick I did was I used this. This is just a frameless cover. You can use anything that has that small thickness because you just need a little gap, right? As you could see, there's a little gap I needed. So that way it makes the door easy to pull out and pull in. So this gap was what I needed, and I used this to figure out what that gap was. So once I got that, then I knew exactly where this piece can go. So I put the one side of the double-sided tape on the metal piece. Then I stuck it onto the magnet, right? It got stuck like this. Bam. Now, the other side of the tape, now I took the strip off. Before I closed the door, of course. I took the strip off, and then I closed the door. But the door wasn't hidden all the way, and that's good because you don't want the door to stick to the thing right away. You want there to be a little bit of extra pull that the magnet has to do so that the door can really seal pretty tightly, right? So once this stuck, the height was right. Now I use my hand here, right, to stick this part. Once I stuck that part, I use my other hand here to stick that part. Then I pull the door out. Then I put my hand, put my hand across to make sure it's nice and tight. And then I firmly press to make sure this like was really holding. And then this part too was make sure it's really holding. And now this is how we create that same effect like those other frame shower doors. So when the door gets here, it just holds, right? And I can't pull it out that easily, as you can see. The magnet is really holding. So that's the hack. If you ever run into this issue, this is what you got to do. And then it just looks like it's all part of the shower, right? It's all at the top. It's hard to see the pass-through adhesive, but I had fun. This was a cool experiment. I don't know where this wisdom came from, but except from God, that's what I will say. I thank Jesus for all that he has provided for me. We are meant to cultivate, nurture the earth, provide service to people. That is what inspired me to work on this and put the extra effort to make this work as efficient, because it's annoying if your shower door is not closing, then you have water come out. It's almost as if, the way I was thinking about it, what if Jesus was coming to take a shower in this shower here? How would I want it to be received? And I want to make sure it has the top-notch quality as best as possible. So please like, share, subscribe, just so this can get out to others who possibly need to see this, just so they can get a different idea on how to tackle this to ensure that the shower door can close in case the magnet that it comes with from the manufacturer is not strong enough to actually do it. So peace and love, trust in Jesus, have an amazing one.